And here we go, we're getting to our next series, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of side Delta, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Diamond Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the American Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing Virtus Pro. It is Astrea. And if you're in the chat, posture check, be sure to stretch, and also get your gamba going. Get your gamba going. Predictions are open in the chat. Place your bets on who you think will take the series, on who you think will advance on into the next round. Best of luck. Patty, of course, Patty, he is an ex-Cranky Duckling. He's one of our own. He's un patito. He's a duck. Or an ex-duck, I should say. Fun fact, I don't mind saying this, I think he doesn't mind either. Patty Mac, he actually recently reached out again. Of course, no, it's not like we parted on bad terms or anything like that. He was like, Pappy, can I become a duckling again? Patty Mac, he's been on a bit of a hiatus. He kind of pseudo-retired when he went to China. He spent like a year in China, and I think he's planning to go back to China as well. Has been studying there. But it sounds like he wants to start competing again. Unfortunately, I had to tell him that, I mean, we, unlike in years past, we don't really have the funds to, you know, foster a pro team again. So I was like, I'm sorry, we just, do apologize. So did have to turn Patty down, but I believe he is looking for a team. I believe he is looking for a team, and he is looking to, you know, invest time into StarCraft again and compete again as well. He was like, yo, we can have another WTL run. And I'm like, we don't really have an active team though. We have Dolan, we have El Dolito, we have the head, but that's not much more. Like Epic is part-time. Ryu doesn't really compete anymore. He streams, but doesn't really compete too often. Oreo's inactive, Starduck's inactive. But best of luck to Patty on his endeavors looking for a team. I'm sure he'll find one. I mean, especially beating Mixu, like, that is a statement. That is a big result already. Here we go. As Astrea is going to be opening up Stargate. Stargate opener from the Protoss. Which is what we expect in this matchup. Likewise, SHIN going hatch gas pool into a third as well. Everything looking as it should. He might be going back to Street Fighter. Cap. As things, they do come in, they do collapse. Ooh, forcing a recall. And with this surge of Lings, the goal here for SHIN is to deny the third. Is to be active, try and deny the third base. And try and delay for as long as possible. The last Adepts are in position, and SHIN should be able to expand without too much trouble. Expansion has been taken. SHIN pulling back, joining up, saturating his bases. See if Astrea can find any damage. So far, SHIN does deflect. Behind this, standard follow-up, going for a Forge and a Twilight Council, getting to +1 and Blink. Forge just not finishing, and Astrea does get 2 drones, but ooh, takes a lot of hits. Oh no! Takes a lot of damage, and the Oracle will barely escape. And 1 shot away from going down. Does get away. Astrea moving out with 6 Adepts. The Oracles are going to be less imposing, but at least the Adepts have potential. Oracles poking in. SHIN has the bare minimum to defend. These Adepts, they can get damage done. And they will come into the shade. Queens are in position. First Adept goes down, but there's still 5 left. They get a drone. Yeah, one so far. Not much more than that as they get caught out on the army. Oracle falls, safe trap is denied. Oh, that was the high HP Oracle going down as well. Yeah, bit of miscontrol there out of Astrea. Losing an Oracle, the other is barely alive as well. Astrea is going to be chased down. Shin will collapse in, takes down all the Adepts, and can now counterattack. Back at home, what do we have to defend? No shield battery! Shield battery just now being thrown down. Oh my god. Warping in extra Stalkers. Lings they can threaten. Merely threaten. They will back off. But Shin has defended, taking a 4th base. Shin is looking solid and is going to be able to recover. Drone up, saturate his bases. And I believe there's no Roach Warren. Yeah, no Roach Warren, so it looks like Shin has 2 options. He can either go into a Hydrogen from here, as he's taking all of his gases, or he can go into a Spire. Both have their place. Both are viable. I'm leaning more towards a Hydrogen, though. I feel like you would usually get a safety Roach Warren if you were to go Mutas, but we'll see. As Lings they threaten a counterattack, trying to buy time. Balin S gets thrown down. Interesting. And there it is. There's that Hydrogen. Back at home, there are Zealot reinforcements. We'll see if Astrea can defend. He should be okay though, with the sack defense. Nobody's about to get surrounded. Blink is done. Thankfully, Blink is done. Stalkers do get away. Ling's looking for another way in. Likewise, Hydra soon to be amassing. Still just purely Ling Queen. No Banelings. Once again, going for the surround, catching at least the Zealots. Going for the Stalkers. And Astrea has overextended. He's going to lose so much here. Stalkers are shut down. 3 of them do recall out of here. And 3 Stalkers do survive, but that was not worth it for Astrea. Ay. Bleeding out 7 Stalkers. For purely Ling. Zelt's getting caught out. Shin getting a 5th. Joining up to 3 base saturation and getting into Hydra production. Interesting that Shin has yet to really saturate any further. Oh. No drones. Just purely Ling Hydra. Storm is done. And there are 2 High Templar ready for this. So this is a risky maneuver here by Shin. Going for a Bailing run by, at the same time moving out with his main army, going for the 4th. We'll have the Concave. Punishes the Zealots. God, that's a lot of heights. That's a lot of Storm. Oh my god. Storms are coming in. So far, nice splits here from Shin. Bailing's waddle forward. Storm should be able to deny them. Oh, they still connect though. Oh my god, massive connections. 3, 4 High Templar go down. There's 3 left. 4th base is denied. That's going to be a kill. No cancel. And the Storms, they're being forced out. 0 Storms remaining. And Shin is overwhelming. Astrea just needed a little bit more time. Just needed 1 extra warp in to support the army. The Shin, he does hit. He does strike. And it may just be too much. So he overwhelms the Zealots, gets all the Stalkers. High Templar, they just warped in, then already GG gets called, and Shin will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Shin will take the first game. Again, Astrea, unfortunately, he was a little bit too over-eager. If you remember, it all started with the first Stalker move out. He lost half of his Stalkers, almost, I will say, the majority of his Stalkers as he moved out. With that, he lost map control, and that allowed Shin to be as active as he was, to move out, to not quite max out, but to cut workers and to commit into Ling Hydra, and eventually overwhelm Astrea. GG. And now we're getting into game number 2. we are setting up. Looks like we're being joined by some other casters. It looks like Pig's run has concluded as he's going to be joining us. And I believe so is Steadfast as well. Who was Pig playing against? He was up against Bjorn, right? Of course. Of course. I assumed Pig was going to be following Bjorn into Epic, but apparently not. But that is another quarterfinals match that is currently underway. Here we go, we're jumping into game 2 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Dynasty. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators, leading the series 1-0. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the American Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Virtus Pro. It is Astrea. And Astrea, he's rushing towards the gold. SHIN, he's known for taking the gold base on this map. SHIN has a reputation, and Astrea is aware of it. Yeah, the drone does move out, but SHIN is taking the standard base instead. Okay, you have my attention. SHIN diverting expectations, going for the natural expansion. Astrea, he's double checking. He's like, what's going on? Like, why have you not taken the gold? Is this really SHIN? You're fake, you're an imposter. As Astrea will go further. The other option is that SHIN could be taking like the proxy gold. But Astrea will get eyes on the expansion and we'll realize what's been going on. So standard opener out of SHIN. Now SHIN is one of the few players out there that does not veto Dynasty in best of threes. And I'm still not fully convinced. I'm still not fully convinced. I mean, we have seen SHIN defeat players like Clem on Dynasty recently. Same with like other top Protoss players as well. Like SHIN, he can pop off on this map, but it's very high risk, high reward. Like it's, I wouldn't say it's very oh, he's going for the cannon rush. I wouldn't say it's very like reliable or consistent. That's the word I'm looking for. No, it's the most consistent play here from from SHIN. And if you're curious what's going on, he is spine rushing the gold. This is a very unique build that SHIN does whip out on this map. He did it against MaxPax last week, and now he's doing it here against Astrea. I think he also did it against Trigger, if I recall correctly. So this is the third time we're seeing this so far over the past 2 weeks. Now the way this works is that SHIN is going to be rallying some drones across the map. Firstly, Lynx will zone away the probe, and he's going to get some spine crawlers up and running and spine rush the mineral line. It is kind of the Zerg way to cannon rush the mineral line and to deny the gold, deny mining. So far, SHIN is the only player I've seen do this, and we cast StarCraft on a daily basis here, and we haven't seen, you know, like Scarlet or Dark or Solar or anyone else embrace this. This is a SHIN build, and we've seen it work. We've also seen it fail. We'll see how Astrea reacts. Now, the way that MaxPax dealt with this, MaxPax didn't scout this until the spines were up, and he responded with a Void Ray. He responded with a Void Ray with that Stargate opener. Spine crawlers are on the way. Is going to be Oracle first. Creep is spotted. Astrea now realized, there it is. He cancels the Oracle, starts up a Void Ray, starts up 2 more shield batteries. So far, so good. So far, a good response by Astrea, but it still comes down to the execution, because it's not just a spine rush, it's going to be queens and spores as well. Like again, SHIN, he knows that this usually will react or will force a response with Void Rays, and there we go, 2 spores are on the way. So 2 spines and 2 spores. We'll see if SHIN can maintain this position. Likewise, Queen is waddling across the map as well to help support. Lings, they hit the net, or they hit the main. Spine crawlers are waddling forward. And the spores, they do manage to get in front as well. And just like that, Astrea is going to be contained onto a 1-base economy. Void Rays poking in. Oh! But the spores are up. And this is all that SHIN needs to do, is just maintain this position. And just like that, Astrea, he's on 1 base. He's on 1 base versus 2. And SHIN can even take the gas. He can take the gas and mine from it as well. Astrea responding with the fleet beacon. That I was not expecting. Okay, this is unique. This is a response I have not seen. Astrea, he's going for Tempest. He's going into the Tempest. Spinecrawler takes a lot of damage, forces the overcharge. Spinecrawler is going to be going down. Nice pickup. Yeah, Shin did overextend. Second Spinecrawler goes down as well. The overcharge putting in a lot of work, and so far so good. Astrea, he is holding, he is defending. And he's once again mining from the base. Again, Shin, he was a little bit late to unburrow and move away those spines. And Astrea, he's doing well for himself. This is still not enough damage from Shin. Void Ray poking forward. Second Stargate on the way. Oh! Shin will bleed under the Spinecrawler. And another. Oh my god, barely another. Void Ray taking a lot of damage. Tempest is revealed. And there's no answer to the Tempest. I mean, it's just free damage. It's going to be free damage from this point forward. Takes down the Queen, takes down another Spine. And how does Shin deal with that Tempest? Miles away. Got a second Tempest in production. And even though we have seen MaxPax deal with this build before, the way that MaxPax dealt with it was just going mass Void Ray. He went up to, I want to say, 4 Void Rays. And of course had a Stalker or Blink Stalker composition to support. But I feel like going into Tempest like this, it's just so secure. Like, I mean, how are you ever going to lose a Tempest? It's just not going to happen. A Lair is on the way, but it's not done yet. So no Spire, no Corruptors. And we can even take up out to the face, and the overcharge will top it up. As the Tempest, they take down another Ravager. Another Queen. There's one Queen left. Up to 4 Tempests! Oh my god. 4 Tempests up and running. Spire is now on the way, but it's not going to save the expansion. It's not going to save the space. Oh! Oh my god. Milestone disconnected. Now I'm curious, does Astrea focus on clearing this up, or does he go for a counterattack? Okay, gotta focus on clearing this up instead. We'll shut down the spores. Back at home, Shin, he's on 2 base saturation. I mean, Astrea still has not taken a 3rd. That is, I would say, an oversight. I do think that this base could have been taken a little bit earlier by Astrea. So Astrea could have been in a better economic position, but still good. Still good with the gold. And Corruptors are going to be amassing. Shin does have a lot of gas. Thankfully, Shin was able to make use of that gas geyser. Another thing that could have happened here, even with only Void Rays, is Void Rays they could have snuck in from behind, and they could have threatened the gas geyser even with the Spore Crawlers in position. So Shin did mine a lot of gas from this base. But doesn't matter. Astrea is moving out. Corruptors are amassing. Astrea just now started Blink, so the ground army can't really support as well. But the Tempest, they're going for the main. And that's 10 Corruptors in production. Oh, Queen's getting one shot. Oh my god. Yeah, there are 5 Tempests. They can one-shot the Queens, but can they escape the Corruptors? As they get every single Queen. Queen's just buying time. Corruptors swap out. They force a recall. Up! And they get 1. They get 1 Tempest. Down to 4. Now, what's impressive is that Shin may have lost all of his queens, but he didn't really lose any workers. So his drone count is left alone. But he did lose every single queen. And that will impact the production, that will impact the injects. And Astrea has a solid lead. Astrea, he's in a solid position. He's on 3 base economy. Getting into +1 blink, getting into a 4th expansion. It's going to be an uphill battle for Shin. And again, I don't know if he's ever encountered this response before. I've seen Shin do this build several times. I've never seen it work. It worked against Trigger. If you watched Shin versus Trigger, was it last week? Tenacious Total Tussle, I think. So it did work. But here we go. Takes down the Tempest. Tempest a reset. Shin being forced away. But again, I do like this response from Astrea. Like, it's just been quite solid. Even though Astrea, he just lost all the Tempest. Astrea is still able to expand, take another expansion, take a fourth. As the Corruptors are being cleaned up, I mean, they've already dealt with the Tempest. And here we go, Shin. He's following this up with a Ling Roach Ravager all in. +1 range is still halfway done. But you can see Shin, cut workers. He's not taking any gases. He's not taking a fourth base. It's all or nothing for Shin. The Biles, they will connect. But the overcharge does stand strong. Not enough Biles. GG gets called. Astrea holds, and Astrea takes game number 2, tying up the series. We're going to the ace match. Whew. We are going to game 3. Let's go. Oh my god. Let us go. And now the question becomes, what map are we going to be spawning into? Where does the story end? Again, it was a cheeky build out of Shin, and we have seen it quite often now, specifically on Dynasty, going for the Spine Rush. Again, with mixed results, and I do really like this response by Astrea. Like, even with the Tempest going down, like, it was still a very dominant way to deal with the Spine Rush and to shut Shin down. To be able to get into a third, get into a fourth, and maintain map control. It was impressive. Very impressive stuff. I would not be surprised if Astrea is, in a way, practiced against this. I'm not necessarily saying that he practiced against Shin exactly, but for Astrea to even speak and converse with Trigger, even watch some of these games, I'd be more impressed if Astrea hadn't played this or hadn't seen this before and he just, you know, responded on the fly. But here we go. We're getting into the ace match. Here we go. Here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the American Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Virtus Pro. It is Astrea. Here we go. Astrea is setting up back at home. Likewise, hatch first from Shin. Going for a 14 hatchery. Interesting. So very early hatchery here by a Zerg player. I believe there was no extractor trick. Yeah, no cancellation. Just straight up hatch first. Able to get it up undisturbed. And from here can go into his gases, into his spawning pool. Basically, from my understanding, the difference between a 15-15 and the 14 hatch that we just saw is that your gas isn't delayed. When you go for a 15-15, your gases are much later as a result, and link speed is much later as well. with this kind of opener, you're able to get into your link speed at a more similar timing. So gas is now being saturated. So a bit of a different take on getting your expansion on location. Was popularized by the Koreans. Especially when the 15 hatch was had hit the mainstream, and when players started copying Eric, the Korean scene, they started going for like 14 hatches instead. For a time, this was like beginning of last year. So just an interesting take on things. As Astrea is going for the Stargate. Okay. Stargate opener back at home. Wait until you hear about the pan situation, or lack thereof. Oh no. Not like this. Astrea, howdy. I mean, I don't think we've had a player be caught with their pants down yet. No, we kind of have. I think Astrea earlier against Homono, I think his pants were down. True. But after that heinous game one against Homono, I think they're back up. I think he's being more careful. Aye. So now SHIN is just going to be droning, keeping up with the adepts. Likewise, Astrea opening up Oracle, moving out, establishing his third base, and everything so far is looking as it should, but just calming things down, settling into the mid game. Nothing too crazy outside of, I guess, the initial openers. Oracle dives into the natural, Queens are in position, Spawn not quite yet done, and we do get 2 drones. Not bad. 2 workers go down, but the Oracle does take a little hold damage, and Astrea does have to back off. Interesting, Astrea opening up double Oracle into a Phoenix, not a third Oracle. Okay. With this, he's going to have that much less to harass and that much less to even defend his third, but he will be able to shut down Overlords and try to keep SHIN in the dark. So Oracles, they do rotate. Overlord under fire. Double Oracle into the main. There's a Spore. The Queens are keeping up. SHIN is aware of the Oracle movement. Oh. Despite that, we'll catch a worker. It does force an overreaction from SHIN. And bleeding out 3 drones. Not bad. Gonna be 5 workers in total and an Overlord. Phoenix looking for another Overlord as well. And it's not going to be +1 in Blink, instead back at home, +1 in Charge. So it's going to be charged on Archon here for Astrea. And if SHIN cuts corners, if he does skip his Roach Warren, I was going to say, if he skips his Roach Warren, if he goes into Link Hydra again, then Astrea can catch him off guard. But the Roach Warren is set up. Still being annoying. And SHIN is yet to confirm what exactly has been going on. Does move out and will confirm the army. Gets eyes on the Zealots, the Slogoths, the Archon, and Roach production has begun. Again, typically against Charge Archon, you do want Roach and Roach Ravager as a more robust army to keep you safe. This can eventually still lead into Hydra Lurker in a longer, later game. But early on, SHIN does have to rely on Roaches. Ooh, as the Phoenix takes a lot of damage! He's taking a lot of hits. Army's already moving out. A very early timing here from Astrea. As he moves out, Lings are moving in. And SHIN, he's going for the third. Astrea does warp in time. Shin pulling back. And can Shin set up a surround? The Archons have arrived. Oh, the stasis! Oh, massive stasis does connect. Shin has to pull away. Speed still in production. Good start for Astrea. Lings, they move out. They get eyes on the 4th. Astrea, he pulls away. Again, he was hoping that maybe he could catch out his opponents as the prison takes a lot of hits. But Astrea, he was hoping he could maybe catch Shin droning. Like, if Shin was droning or if Shin was taking into Hydras, then Shin could have died then and there. Alas, Astrea was deflected. And Shin is going not just into Roach Ravager, into Swarm Host Nidus as well. Now, the reason why we're seeing Swarm Host is that Swarm Host is seen most commonly against Charger Archon, just because his army is so immobile. Just because of the lack of Blink Stalkers. Blink is on the way, but they're not ready yet. So Swarm Hosts do have their place in ZVP, specifically against this. Cell Drop comes in, gets a Queen. And we'll scout the Swarm Host as well. Not bad. Massive scout by Astrea. 9 Swarms on the way. Oh, and Shin, he's not droning. He's cutting workers at 67. Does take a storm to the face. 9 Swarm does complete. Shin going for the natural. Travis pushing forward. Oh, does take another massive storm. Oh my god, the storms! He's standing in them. Shin, calm down. Local save will go for the expansion. The Nexus will fall. Maybe even the Robo as well. He's gonna get both. Oof, yeah, massive pickoffs. So the Robo, another massive. Oh no! Another massive storm. Shin does have a late reaction. We'll have to pull back. Shin's still only on 68 workers. But Astrea, he's running out of storm. He's running out of storms. Things they come in for the surround. The storms initially were good, but there's just barely not enough. Another storm does connect. Storm is coming in. See Shin trying to get ready for that surround. What does Shin go for? The army or the expansion? He wants the base. He wants the mineral line. Local save getting forced out. Does go for an Archon. Gets both. Gets both Archons. Gets into the mineral line. Shin getting the most out of what he can. Astrea is holding. Oh my god. I'm shocked by how low the Nexus got. Jesus. Nexus does take a lot of damage. One more Locust Wave away from going down, or even just a handful of Roaches. Shin still has not drawn in quite some time. Still just massing Roach Ravager. And we'll find a stray High Templar. Nice pickup. High Templar goes down. The army's exposed. There's no way out of this. Does zone away, though. Okay. He's meeting up with the rest of his army. Local saving to the natural. He wants it again. He's going to get it. There's a lot of charge-outs, though. Shin has to pull away. He cannot fight this head-on. That is, what, 5 Immortals? Those are a lot of Immortals. Shin has to respect them. Okay. Shin has to respect them pulling away. I was keeping an eye on the sound. I was like, I haven't heard any in-game music for a while, but it just started. Let's begin. Astrea trying to keep up. And again, Astrea, he's holding, but he will lose the expansion. The 4th base goes down. He's being pulled apart. He cannot keep up. Not against this kind of army. Again, we spoke earlier. Because it's Charger Archon, it's just so immobile. That's where the power of Swarm Host really shines. Zellaramite gets in, but doesn't get any workers. And SHIN will defend. Does race back home, and now transitioning into Hydra, eventually into Lurker Tech. For now, just Roach Hydra. Lurker Den has been thrown down. There's a Hive. So Locust Wave does land. Shouldn't get the expansion, but does get a pylon. The expansion still gets very low. Jesus, oh my god, it's crazy. SHIN once again just looking to pull Astrea apart. Nice work completes. Roaches, they get a kill! No, that's a kill, not a cancel. 400 minerals down the drain. I do believe some of the Swarm Hosts were caught out. That was one Swarm Host falling. SHIN catching an Immortal, gets one. Oh, and he will barely get another. Not the most efficient trade out of SHIN, but SHIN, he has the economic advantage. He can afford it. He can afford some worse trades. That is a lot of High Templar. That is how many? 14! 14 High Templar for Astrea. Oh, one High Templar gets sniped. Nice control there by SHIN. But each High Templar soon to have one Storm. And this is it. It's going to be an all-in for Astrea. I mean, this army is quite threatening, but there's no support. The reality is, as we saw previously, like the Roaches, if they can dip in, if they can target fire the High Templar one after another, like, it's a very expensive army. There's Lurkers ready. Oh my god. Lurker range is done. There's 13 Lurkers in position. Astrea cannot push into that. Not with this kind of army. I mean, Immortals do well, but not on their own. Not just with High Templar. Say that Lurkers are late to respond. Astrea pushing in. Astrea does have a comparable armor. Astrea, he can still take this game. He's just all in. Like, he has to end the game with this move out, with this push, here and now. If he can catch some of the Lurkers out of position on their own, if he can catch the army fragmented, they can make this work. Across the map, Natural goes down, probes as well. How many Immortals? 8. 8 Immortals. And 13 High Templar. Storms do connect! Massive Storm of the Hydras! Oh my god. The Hydras melt, but the Hydras aren't the problem, it's the Lurkers. Hatchery goes down. Astrea lost 1 High Templar, he's down to 12. He lost 1 High Templar and 1 Immortal. And honestly, SHIN just has to keep building on more Lurkers. You want Nidus into the main. Nidus does finish. Lurkers, they get across the map. Not like this. At the same time, Lurkers are not quite in position. Yeah, Astrea can force his way up the ramp. Does get some storms up. Yeah, good storms on the Hydras. But the Lurkers, they do borrow. Astrea still unable to break through. And again, the longer this goes on, the better it is for SHIN. As the mothership has arrived. Does cloak, saving the buildings. At least trying to. Oh my god, High Templar, they do recall back home and they will storm everything. Now SHIN has been burning through a lot of gas. I mean, this is a very gas-intensive army. Again, the army supplies are still neck and neck. And there's still 11 High Templar. Astrea taking another expansion. So is SHIN. Astrea's moving out. How many Lurkers? Only 10. Okay. Now 13. Lurker count getting higher. Lurker's still morphing in. Astrea splitting up his army. Bold move. Going for a split push. Could work out. But again, yeah, Astrea, he was hoping there weren't lurkers here. He was hoping that SHIN had diverted his attention. Hoping that SHIN was out of position. Alas, not the case. Nice spread out of SHIN. Just avoid some of those storms. Only leaving out a handful of Lings and Hydras. SHIN making 5 more lurkers. Forcing a recall with the Nidus Worm. Fun fact is, there's a handful of lurkers in the Nidus. Oh my god. The High Templar had one more volley. I almost think it was a mistake to unburrow there. If there was one more volley going off, then almost every High Templar would have gone down. They're all so low. That was one lurker volley, by the way. Jesus. Uno más, papi, uno más. Speaking of, lurker shots going up. And 20 lurkers. Up against 16 High Templar. Nidus Worms are denied. Astrea going for another split push. Oh! One High Templar goes down. And SHIN just trying to leapfrog forward and baiting out storms. Same time, we do see Astrea pushing in. Astrea catching up in army supply. Leading out an Archon. Really gaining ground across the map. And the base is going to be forfeit. At the same time, nice split here. Astrea, he will shut down these lurkers. Okay. Astrea gaining ground. Takes down the base, takes down the expansion. Lurkers are falling. A very efficient fight here from Astrea. At the same time, Slow Zone will save the mothership. Oh my god. Storms are brutal. Astrea, he is in this. The worker counts are neck and neck. Massive storm on the army. Astrea pushing in, going for another expansion. SHIN is in trouble. He has to race back home. SHIN, he turns back around. Doesn't really have much to work with. And Astrea recalls. He kills 2 expansions, gets 7 drones. SHIN still has mining, Astrea less so. But Astrea has the better army. Again, Astrea with the Immortal Storm has been achieving a lot with a little. Like, Astrea's been all in for like 10 minutes off of like half a base economy. Against SHIN, who was on 2 bases, 2.5. And again, it just goes to show how like how efficient this army can be. But it does require a lot of delicate micro. We have to be so careful with the High Templar. They're so fragile. Viper's coming in. Go for the yoinks. Up! Yoinks the oracles and does get one of them. We can see Astrea setting up for a surround. Uh-oh. Or even a flank. SHIN does spot this. Astrea taking another expansion. So is SHIN. Soon to be 2 base versus 2 base. Yoinks coming in. Gets the Immortals. But they do survive. I mean, again, they are immortal. That was 3 Yoinks to get 1 Immortal. Viper's gathering up more energy. catching an immortal. I mean, the abductions are a nice, like, they're going to be a deciding factor here for Shin. Like, he is gaining value over time. Getting, like, 1 or 2 immortals here and there. Oh my god, meanwhile, we're getting into Tempest production. Astrea. Tempests are on the way. Shin is likewise getting into Corruptors, into Broodlords as well. A handful of Broodlords. It's still quite tense. Shin does get eyes on the expansion. Still slowly pushing forward. And Carrier has arrived. Tempest is revealed. Shin is now aware. Oh. Getting an observer. Whatever he can get his hands on. And both players are about to max out. I do favor Astrea in a maxed out situation just because Shin doesn't really have a bank to work with. Like, ideally, the Zerg player wants to have the greater economy because they have a more, I should say, replaceable army. But that isn't necessarily the case here. Oh! Feedback's going off. The Viper survive. Astrea thinking about a counterattack. Another expansion on the way. Oh, Shin cannot allow this to happen. Another base. Nice one just complete, but Astrea, his economy is looking quite healthy, and yet both armies are maxed. More starports on the way, +2 air attack as well. Astrea taking a third. And yeah, Shin, he knows he cannot let that get up and running. That would be game. So Shin, he rotates. Observer does confirm. High Templar are there to respond. But it looks like Astrea just doesn't have enough. Spine shot's going up. Does catch two of those lurkers. Nice storm. And the expansion is going to be able to... Does it survive? Oh my god. The expansion falls, but so many Hydras go down as well. That was 4 lurker kills. That wasn't a free trade for Shin. It's 4 lurkers. That was a good chunk of Hydras. Oh, Yoinks are coming in. Getting a Tempest. Getting 2. 2 Tempests go down. Tempest wreaking havoc. And getting 2 more spores. Yoinks are coming in. Oh! The counter feedbacks. Abduction does lead to 1 Tempest kill, but there's 1 Viper left. There were 3, down to 1. 1 Viper remaining. Tempest gaining ground. Shin going for a Ling, a Hydra counterattack. I mean, he has potential to catch out this army, but there are more Zealots coming. Oh, my apologies. The probes are going to be walking to their deaths. No. Yeah, workers getting called out. It's going to be 13 probe kills. But at least Astrea is now aware and does reinforce with more Zealots. Lands a fungal. Big feedbacks. Oh my god, feedbacks on everything. Was a bit of a blundered push. I mean, that means that these infestors are dead supply. They have to regenerate energy. And again, this kind of terrain is brutal here for Shin. The Tempest count, it's getting out of hand. It's getting out of control, and I don't see Shin holding on to this expansion. And I think it's a bit of a mistake to try to hold on to it. Like, he's been bleeding out so many units. Yeah, Shin has no bank. The base is going to go down. And Astrea, he can take this base himself. SHIN trying to go for a counterattack instead, but there are storms ready. Cannons as well. The boys going to be walking into their deaths. SHIN is going to try to fight within cannon range, but yeah, the storms are brutal. Can he take down the High Templar? Oh god, the storms! Yeah, storms are going off, the lurkers go down, immortals pop off. And Astrea defends. Astrea defends, Astrea attacks. And despite the dire straits that Astrea was in earlier, he was able to bring it back. We mentioned before that even though Astrea, he was down 30, 40, 50 army supply, Immortal High Templar just has so much potential as an army early on. And many of these Immortals and High Templar from 15 minutes ago, they're still alive. They're still there. They're still standing strong. And SHIN, he's being outpaced. SHIN, he's on one base economy, half a base and half a base. So SHIN is stuck on one base, Astrea is on two, or 1.5. And Astrea can take more bases. Astrea is free to expand, and yeah, he's setting up. Setting up for another expansion. Astrea also has the more efficient army. He's got Tempest and still all those High Templar. Now, SHIN has one big fight in it. True. Like, there is a world. If Astrea overextends, if Astrea pushes up this ramp onto creep, then we can pop off with Neurals. We can... Do we have any abductions? No. No Vipers. So, these are the only spellcasters, just 4 Infestors. And Neural is actually not researched, so never mind. They can fungal. That's really all they can do. So they can try to lock down the army. But outside of that, I still do favor the composition of Astrea. Without Vipers, without Lurkers. I should say Lurker to support the Broodlord Corruptor. Or a Spore Forest, which also was cleaned up. And SHIN's pushing in. I mean, it's oh no! The stasis goes off. Now, I do believe that SHIN can win the Battle in the Sky. Like, SHIN, he's got a lot of Corruptors. He's up to how many? 26 Corruptors. I'm just worried that there just won't be enough to deal with everything else on the ground as well. On top of that, I mean, the storms are going to be brutal. It's not a sure thing that SHIN would even win the Battle in the Sky either. If it wasn't for the storm, then maybe, but that's still a lot of High Templar. That's 12. I think we went up to 16 High Templar earlier, so it's not quite that high, but still quite high. It's still enough. 12 High Templar, each with at least one storm. Now, at least SHIN was able to spread creep, and he was able to deny the expansion. Astrea expanding elsewhere. SHIN going for the surround, gets 2 High Templar. Okay, down to 10. This is kind of what SHIN was hoping for, catching out a portion of the army by itself. So a strong moment here for SHIN. Going for the expansion, Astrea backs off. Expansion under fire. Northern Nexus as well. So this is best case scenario for SHIN. Oh my god, at the same time Zealots, they get into the main, they're gonna get everything. SHIN gonna try and respond. Broodlord goes down. Infestors as well. Yeah, zero Infestors remaining. Lurkers do race back, Hydras as well. And SHIN is falling behind in supply. He's gonna have to try to engage. Oh god. He's being bullied back. It does force out all the storms. And here we go, he's going for the Tempest. And he will bring down a handful of them. Yeah, most of the Tempests do fall, but the storms are brutal. Corruptors, they melt. And Astrea takes the fight. Astrea does take it. He kites back, cleans up every single Corruptor. Now the Broodlords are exposed. GG gets called, and Astrea will take the series 2-1 and will advance on to the semi-finals. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Astrea snowballing out control. Again, SHIN had a very strong start. If you remember, he was able to deny the expansion, able to shut Astrea down, and again, cripple his economy. Remember, Astrea even lost his natural. Astrea was like on 1.5 bases at one point, but he had Immortal High Templar. You know, he had a very, very cost-efficient army. Didn't have a lot of it, but had enough to threaten his opponent, to maintain himself, and to slowly over time claw his way back in and recover. GG, well played. Very impressive, very patient play out of Astrea. Again, it's kind of what he's known for in a sense, especially in the NA region. We've seen a lot of late game from Astrea against Neeb in PvP and against Scarlet in PvZ as well. Astrea has some of the best late game out there. And yeah, if he can slow the game down, can pop off. Can, and did. GG. GG, well played. Whew. Again, it was on a knife's edge for so long. It was just such a tense kind of game state on a knife's edge, and yeah, over time, Astrea was just out trading SHIN. Astrea was able to get his bases back up and running, back up and mining. SHIN was just over time outscaled as well, and unable to defend his fringe bases. Congratulations. And with that, we have our semi-finals. Astrea does advance on into the next round to face off against Björn in the semis. I also believe that was the final Zerg player, so my heart does go out to SHIN. He was the Zerg representative. I was hoping we could get a Zerg player in the semis, and it was close. It was very close between SHIN and Astrea, but in the end, only Terran and Protoss remain. It is going to be a TVP between Astrea and Björn. Let's go. Let us go.